Here we go.
Yes,
Here it
there it
is.
is.
Well, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 177 of the Nerds United is One podcast. I am your host, Paul English, and we are back again, resuming our countdown of the top 10 greatest films ever seen. Joining me for this interrogation of picks 3 and 4 is the regular crew you know and love. It's Mike Gulick from Geek Salad. How you doing, sir?
Doing good. How are you?
Hanging in there. And that's 4 in a row now. He's got it going. It's Caleb Tufts, the founder. What's up, my friend?
What's going on, guys? Luckily, I was able to find my headphones, so I'll be able to hear a lot better this week. Yeah, super excited, man. Yeah, just ready to get these picks out.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's not waste any time. Let's jump right into it. You know how this goes. We'll go in. So, Mike, what are your 2 picks this week?
My number 4 pick is Field of Dreams, and my number 3 pick is Princess Mononoke.
Okay. Caleb, what are your picks?
Well, continuing on the horror trend of my 4 horror movies in a row. Number 4 is John Carpenter's The Thing from 1982, and then number 3 is John Carpenter's Halloween from 1978.
All right, so not just a horror theme, but a John Carpenter theme in this episode.
Fair director, yeah.
Okay. And my number picks are at number 4, another historical epic, Master and Commander: The Far Side of the World. And at number 3, we have the 1957 classic 12 Angry Men.
Good movie.
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump right into it. Mike, I'm going to come to you first. You're on the hot seat right now. So, Caleb, what is your first question for him?
And number 4 you said was Field of Dreams, Mike?
Field of Dreams.
Oh, I love this.
Baseball classic.
So there's been a lot of baseball movies, as you guys know. A lot.
Oh, yes.
I love a lot of them because, I'm a pretty baseball fan, and it sucks that there's a lockout. Whatever. Anyway, Mike.
Fuck the union.
What about this one, particular movie? Why does it stand above all the other baseball movies for you?
Well, as you may or may not know, I am not the biggest baseball fan. But there's something about this movie, this particular movie. It's not really about baseball, the game, as much as it is about baseball mythology of the game, or like the kind of the way it integrates with America. I mean, he builds the baseball field, but it's never really about baseball, the sport. It's more about baseball, the feeling.
Right.
And that's what I really kind of with me.
I haven't seen this movie in a long time, but this is the one where is it his dad that walks out and they play catch?
Eventually, yeah. At the end. Spoilers.
So because I remember that scene because I losing my dad last year. When I see that scene, it just hits different, Oh, yeah. So, but yeah, awesome. Okay, cool.
So speaking of a great movie, there are some big names in this one. I think this is arguably one of Kevin Costner's most well-known movies, if not his most well-known. And then you've also got the legendary James Earl Jones and several other notable names in here. Was there a particular actor that stood out to you as far as giving a solid performance?
I mean, Ray Liotta as Shoeless Joe Jackson is just, because he always just talks very straight. He doesn't there's really no emotion in his voice. What he says is just truth. He says it was never about the money. It was about the game. It was about playing the game. So yeah, for me it'd probably be Ray Liotta, but special shout out to James Earl Jones for his speech at the end. Basically about summing up what the kind of the feeling of baseball is. That one, from what I hear, it was that speech alone that caused James Earl Jones to sign on for this movie.
Wow. Okay. Awesome.
Of course, Burt Lancaster, of course, as well.
Okay. Okay. Caleb, what's your last question?
Now I think I already know the answer to this. But because I think this is the movie that I'm thinking about. But is there one line of dialogue, Mike, that just sticks out above the rest that will always stick with you? like years later.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, a lot of fantastic lines in this one, but the one line of dialogue that I will always make me start choking up is just, "Hey, Dad, you want to have a catch?"
Oof.
It's just such a brilliant. I mean, the whole movie's just been building up to that one point.
I was thinking about. I hadn't remembered that. Is this the movie where they say, Mike, if you build it, they will come?
If
Yeah.
you build
Yeah.
it, if you build it, he will come.
He will come. Yeah. Okay. That's the line I was thinking about. I was like, man, I'll never forget that line.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
All right. My last question is kind of a bit of a cop out, but I'm gonna twist your arm a little bit. Was there anything about this film that you didn't like?
Oof. He really has to think about it,
Yeah, that we're getting to
He's
the
like,
top,
it's
the
my
cream of the
fourth
crop
favorite
right
movie,
now.
Paul. It's hard to find a flaw in my
Yeah.
favorite movies.
Yeah. I guess I mean, you had to have like a villain, and so you had Kevin Costner's wife's brother, trying to like foreclose on the farm and all that. I mean, you had to have something there.
Yeah.
It seems a little cliche. Like, oh, it's the evil bankers. They want to
Right.
foreclose. They can't see it.
Yeah.
Right. Every story needs a villain, Mike. You know that. Come on.
Yeah, it makes sense,
Yeah.
but it's like,
Not necessary.
yeah, it was never about that. It was
No.
always about the story and the feeling of baseball. So,
All right.
Definitely.
Indeed. All right. Maybe one day we three of us can have a catch. Anyway, Mike, you're off the hot seat for now. So you'll be back on it later. All right, Caleb, you are up next, and you've got John Carpenter's The Thing from 1982. Mike, I'm gonna let you go this one. What's your first question for him?
okay. John Carpenter's made a lot of really great films, and you've got two of them right here.
Yes.
I have a question, but I think I'll save it for Halloween. With this one, I'll go like, why this one above like all the others other than Halloween?
So, this movie is actually, I think this is like the latest movie that I've seen. I saw this in 2013. Halloween was like my favorite horror movie for like years, and it is now like it's now like retook its place, but I was always just a massive John Carpenter fan, and everyone, I was on like a group or something, and they were like, "Hey, have you seen the Thing?" And I was like, "No," and they're like, "It's by John Carpenter." I'm like, "Well, I gotta watch it." So Paul remembers I was dating this girl Kim, and I popped it in 2013, and I watched it like 4 times in a row, dude. The atmosphere, the tension, the special effects. This has the best special effects I've ever seen in my life. You ask anybody, 1982, literally some of the best effects I've ever seen in my life. So practical over digital always. But like anyway, it just blew my mind. Just the atmosphere, the tension. Kurt Russell is amazing, obviously. It's so John Carpenter, and you can just tell. It's just like it makes your skin crawl. Like, and I love a mystery. You like don't know like who's who and who's this, and like there's like no jump scares because it's not like a cheap horror movie. There's atmosphere and there's like tension. Just so good.
All right. So I'll have my first question in a moment, but looks like Mike and I have a similar situation. We both have two kitties over our right shoulder.
Aww.
Hey, Nikki. All right. So, Caleb, my first question is this, and it's pretty obvious, and you've stated before what a huge John Carpenter fan you are. What is it about his movies that you find so appealing?
Just the word that if you ask any like huge Carpenter fan, it's atmosphere. You watch one of his films, you just feel the atmosphere in the room. Like, he makes it scary, and he doesn't have to use cheap jump scares. But he doesn't have to use a lot of blood. He uses a lot of blood in Thing, but he doesn't have to. But it makes you feel dirty. Like, if you watch this movie, like I watched it with Danny, probably, I don't know, last year, said it was the grossest movie she's ever seen, because it's pretty gross. Right? I mean, it's pretty gross. But he just makes you feel gross. It makes you feel like, oh God, I'm kind of uncomfortable, but I want to keep watching, and he's just a master class in making you feel things that I never thought I would feel watching a movie. So.
Okay. All right. Mike, what's your last question?
Okay, my last question. McCready or Childs?
McCready. I love Kurt Russell.
No. Which one was the thing at the end?
Childs.
Okay.
For sure, because he had no breath. You just saw at the end, but that's the thing, Mike. A lesser horror movie would have, had a happy ending. It would have been like, oh, he's the thing, and then he would have killed Dad. He would have been like, it was, defer. Oh, it's completely dead. Carpenter says no. I'm gonna leave you with a thought. Whoa. Like, was he the thing? Was he not the thing? I don't know. We'll never know. Like, he just wants to mind fuck you. He just wants to get in your brain and be like, you might think this, but it might be something completely different. And it's like, I don't know. He's just. And then here's the thing about John Carpenter. Like, if you watch interviews, he don't give a fuck. Like, he's gonna do what he wants to do, and that's it. So, and like, I love that. He's like, oh, you want to have this? No. Happy ending. Look, happy ending. No. This is how I'm going to do it. I just love it. So.
Okay. So my last question, kind of simple. What was, in your opinion, the scariest scene of this movie?
Oof. I'm gonna say this: the scene that, if you've never seen this part, and again, I'm gonna spoil it, so please, if you haven't seen this for some strange reason,
go ahead. I don't care. I'm not gonna.
No, I know that, but no, I know you. The jumpiest scare is when he's giving him a CPR on his stomach, and he go clear, and the guy's stomach opens up, and it chomps down, and it rips his hands off. That was freaky. But my favorite scene is when they're doing the blood test scene, and they're going through every single one's blood, and it's always good. And all of a sudden, and you see Palmer, who is a thing, but he starts shaking, and then he just explodes. And all the guys that are still chained up on the chairs are like, yo, what the fuck? Untie us! It's just so creepy. You're like, oh my god, like everyone's gonna die. It's just, so good. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well done, Caleb. You're off the seat for now. We'll come back to later. So I am up. So I've talked about this movie before on our on one of our previous episodes. So I'll try not to say anything that I said on that previous episode. So, but if I do, I apologize. So my number 4 pick, Master and Commander, Far Side of the World. Mike, you go first. What's your first question for me?
Because I was on that episode, and I did ask you a few questions of this one, so I'm trying to think of a new question I could ask. All right. Well, hey, you twisted my arm with Field of Dreams. I'll twist your arm with Master and Commander. Is there a moment in this one that you're not a big fan of?
It's not one particular moment. It's more like a stretch of time. There is a stretch of time in the second third of the film, in between the deaths of 2 characters. Like, one character dies here and the other character dies here. And in between, it is just really slow and a real grind to get through. If you haven't seen it before, yes, you need to go through that part, just understand everything. But once you've seen it the first time and you rewatch it, because it does have a lot of rewatchability, I say go ahead and just rewind it, fast forward through it, because it's hard to get through.
Okay.
All right, Caleb, what is your first question for me?
So, if I remember correctly, this is Russell Crowe?
It is indeed Russell Crowe performance.
wasn't sure. I was like, I think it's Russell Crowe. You keep getting me to watch this fight. I haven't watched it yet. I will watch it eventually. I promise. Is he your favorite performance? And if not him, who and why?
Okay. Oh my goodness. It's a complicated because I'd say yes and no. Yes, he is my favorite performance, but only because he has such an incredible ensemble around him
Right.
that heighten his performance. Most notably, Paul Bettany as the Doctor,
Well, I love
who-
Paul Bettany.
who they established very clearly in the film, and it's in the books too, are very longtime friends. They're like the best of friends.
Okay.
And their interactions off each other are just, it's superb. Some of the best acting you will ever see. But I also love how he mentors a lot of the younger officers. You got James Darcy as his second in command. And then you got like these children, because they're literal children. They're 12, 13 years old, serving on this British warship, which was common in the 19th century. And the way he mentors them, he gives them encouragement, proper criticism. It's just absolutely superb. So, yes, Russell Crowe is my favorite performance, but only because he has such a great cast around him to work.
Okay.
All right, Mike, what's your last question?
I don't have one because I asked all the ones I needed to last time.
All righty then. Caleb, what about you?
Okay. So again, I haven't seen this. Can you just explain to the viewers, real quick, what voyage is this, Paulie, and its significance to world history?
Okay, so this actually isn't based on a true story.
Okay.
This is a fictional story. It is based on a series of books by the same name by Patrick O'Brian. And the story itself is very simple. Russell Crowe plays Captain Aubrey. He is the command captain of a British frigate, a British warship, and he has been ordered to intercept a French privateer harassing British whalers in the Pacific.
Okay.
With the orders to sink, burn, or take a reprise. And that's it. It's pretty straightforward, but it's pretty simple. But what he doesn't realize is the ship he's being tasked to take down, the Acheron, it's much larger, it's much faster, it's more powerful, more crew, more guns. This will be the biggest challenge of his life. So how does he outrun these guys while at the same time try to take them down?
Right.
It's simple, it's straightforward, but with a story like this, it's all you need when you have amazing characters and some of the best battle sequences you will ever see. Every single naval engagement is breathtaking.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Yeah, I can't recommend this movie enough. All right, so I'm off the seat for now. And let's move on to our number 3 picks. Mike, you are up, and Caleb, you're up first. What's your first question for him?
Okay, Princess Mononoke. Studio Ghibli, Mike, right? As they say. Granted, Mike, I'm going to be honest with you, bro. I have not seen any of these movies.
Neither have I.
I know.
Okay.
I want to, though. I want to. I just haven't.
If you had to start with one, I would say Spirited Away.
I was going to say, Mike, so there's a lot of great ones I've heard. Spirited Away, My Neighbor Totoro, this one, Howl's Moving Castle, right? I think that's another one. I've heard that there's a lot of great ones. What is it about Princess Mononoke that just stands out above the rest?
Well, I mean, partially it's because it was my very first Studio Ghibli movie.
Okay.
It was the very first one I actually saw it in 1999. I was out at Comic-Con, and they had the first screening of the English dub, which was actually adapted by Neil Gaiman. And he was actually there for some Q&As afterwards.
Oh, nice.
But so partially because it was my very first one, but second because the story is just phenomenal, and it's like Spirited Away is a phenomenal, fantastic movie, but it's definitely aimed at a kind of more of a younger.
Right.
Well, I'm not gonna say aimed at.
When you say like more kid friendly,
it's more accessible to pretty much everyone.
Yeah.
Princess Mononoke, I would say younger kids don't watch it yet. There are some pretty vicious battle scenes in it.
Okay.
But just the characters are so amazing. the imagery, just the way it kind of shows some creatures from like actually Japanese Shinto mythology.
Okay.
Breathtaking. The Night Walker alone is just gorgeous. And it's the story is both pertinent because it is a kind of an ecological tale, but there aren't any real good guys or bad. Well, I mean, there's one kind of central character that's a good guy, but there aren't really any like solid villains. Everyone has a believable and completely understandable motivation for why they're doing these things.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. So my first question isn't necessarily about the film itself, but rather the studio as a whole. Because for as long as I've known you, you have been such a huge. You have declared your unconditional love for Studio Ghibli, and like all their films are masterpieces. You can't praise them enough. Yada yada.
Well, there are a couple of their movies that I will not watch.
Okay. But overall, you are very high praise of Studio Ghibli.
Yes.
So my question is, what is it about the style of director Hayao Miyazaki that appeals to you so much? Like, what is it about his ability, his storytelling, craft, and everything that, in your mind, makes his movies so great?
Well, I mean, there's a reason why he's considered kind of the god of modern animation storytelling. I mean, all of the current Disney and Pixar movies, they have come out and said, we take massive inspiration from Miyazaki.
Yeah.
Just because he is able to take, the animated art form and storytelling that's been around since the 30s and 40s, and just he's able to kind of make it transcend storytelling. Like I said, like with Princess Mononoke, it is an ecological tale, but like you've got like the Iron Town and they're tearing up the countryside to get the iron to smelt and form into weapons and tools and sell to other people, the cities. But the leader of Irontown, Lady Eboshi, who seems like she should be the villain of it, she's hiring lepers, she's hiring prostitutes, people that have been thrown out by cities and been completely rejected by society. She's bringing them in. She's giving them a trade. She's treating them as people. She is treating them as equals. Princess Mononoke herself, San, she is, on the side of the wolves and the spirits of the forest. She's trying to stop Lady Eboshi, but she's using violent tactics. She's like killing anybody that gets in their way. So, yeah, she's kind of like an extreme, eco-terrorist. So, like, each one has good sides and bad sides, but like, you go to like I don't know. I just watched Coco, phenomenal movie. I love Coco, but you have a very clear villain. Whereas with Spirited Away and Princess Mononoke, you've got antagonists, but you don't really have villains because everyone has a point of view that's equally valid. They all have reasons why they're doing things. And Miyazaki is just the master of doing things like that.
Okay,
Awesome.
All right. Caleb, what is your last question for Mike on this?
Okay. Gonna kind of twist your arm, Mike. Is there something about this movie that you would change or that you don't like?
I'm not sure if it's like a slight issue with the dub translation. I will say that the dub in this one is one of my favorites of all of the anime. I especially love. There's an element of it I like more than the Japanese, and that's Gillian Anderson is the voice of Maro, the wolf goddess.
Mm-hmm.
And in the original Japanese, it's a male voice, and giving it a more motherly female voice. Even Gillian Anderson, who can really talk deep with it, but I think she gives a better aspect of it. But towards the end of it, there's like a battle going on between actual like human factions, and they don't really give much explanation about why that's happening. I
Okay.
don't know if it's like a problem with the dub that they mistranslate something or they leave it out. But towards the end, there's like a battle scene that gets a little confusing as to like what's actually going on.
Right.
Hopefully, you don't really need to know it. It's not really a big part of the story.
Right. Okay. Awesome.
All right. So my question, I'm actually going to go in the opposite direction, Mike. Although it might be a bit of an arm twister. Out of all of the moments and scenes in this film, was there one that stood out to you as your favorite?
Yes, I can answer this easily. Actually,
Okay.
Okay.
there's a moment kind of midway through. San has assaulted Irontown, and she's actually gone in personally, and she's trying to kill Lady Boshi in the worst way, and they're having a nasty fight. And Ashitaka, who is the hero of the story, the main character, he's been cursed. His arm has been cursed by a demon that he killed, and as he sees like all of this, like all the people of Irontown hate San. They want her dead. San wants Lady Eboshi dead. He sees all this hatred, and his cursed arm, like these kind of tendrils start coming off of it. And he just walks through this crowd, chucking people aside, and he confronts both San and Lady Eboshi as like these tentacles are kind of like these spectral tentacles are coming off him. He's like saying, "This is hatred. This is what it's doing to you, and it's going to kill me, and it's killing every single one of you here." And just then he knocks San and Lady Eboshi unconscious, and picks up San and says, "I'm leaving with her, and no one's going to stop me." And it's just such an amazing scene. It is just without a doubt my favorite scene of the movie.
Awesome. Cool.
Nice. All right, Mike, you are off the hot seat. Well done. All right, Caleb, you are up, and you've got 1978, the very first Halloween. All right, Mike, you're going first. What's your first question for Caleb?
Good choice. This is my second favorite John Carpenter movie, behind Big Trouble in Little China.
I love that movie. It's a great movie.
But what is it about the first one that really makes it stand out most? When it's had a lot of sequels, and none of them have.
Unfortunately,
have been great.
And
Yes.
not to mention a few reboots.
Yeah. Some of them I like. Some of them I absolutely despise.
Fair enough.
Some, like I said, are decent. But again, this movie was shot for $300,000.
Yeah.
So you can tell John Carpenter really put his love and attention and the scenes and what they did, and how you start the movie with that long tracking shot and you see a young Michael, and it's like, what I hate about Rob Zombies is he wants to give Michael a backstory. He's from a white trash family, and oh god, like it's just so bad. And it's like, just leave it ambiguous. We don't know why this dude kills people. He just wants to kill people. Like, it's scarier that way. He just snaps. He just loses his mind. He just snaps. He's gone. And the dialogue in this movie is so, like, the great Donald Pleasance as Sam Loomis is so good, which is, and Almost a Psycho, by the way, if you guys knew that. It's just, like just the lines. I saw this little boy, the eyes, the blackest eyes. Like, oh man, it's so, and the atmosphere in this movie is like, I'm gonna put it to you guys. If not for nostalgia for my top two picks, and you guys can probably guess what my top two are. If not for heavy nostalgia from when I was a little boy, this would be my favorite movie of all time. Because this movie, to me, I watch it all the time. I could pop this on every other day and it wouldn't bother me. The same beats, man. The atmosphere, the tension. I'm a slasher fan at heart. I've always have been, which is why I love Scream and like Nightmare and Halloween. But John Carpenter had to be so creative with the way that he made this movie just these shots that he took, and Nick Castle's amazing portrayal as the Shape is so good. And again, like when you're Laurie and you're looking around, and then she looks out there and she just sees Michael staring at her. And probably my favorite thing, anyone that has ever heard anything about Halloween knows the amazing Halloween score. Like this score might be the greatest score of all time. I'm not saying it is. There's been a lot of great scores, but you know as soon as you hear the song, like where it came from, you know, bruh, classic. And that was all done by John Carpenter. He's just amazing. And this movie, like, I just watched it a couple weeks ago. It's just so good. It's just literally so good. So, yeah.
Okay, wow. All right, Caleb. So my first question is this. There have, throughout cinema, there have been just countless just iconic names and faces when it comes to horror, from the classics of Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, to more modern ones like Leatherface and Jason. But it sounds to me like at the very top, you've got Michael Myers as the definitive horror icon. So what is it about him that puts him at the top?
It's funny you say that, Paul. Michael's not my favorite, Paul.
Oh.
I like him a lot. Freddy's my favorite.
Okay.
Only because he talks, Paul.
Oh, okay.
Only because of him talking. Michael's amazing, right?
Mhm.
And he's right up. But I would probably put him second. I also like Chucky, but again, he talks. So if you talk, like Freddy's lines, boy, are so funny. But like some of them are really good. And if you're able to talk to somebody, it's a little scarier, bro. But I do love Michael Myers because again, Paul, in the original, you just don't know why this guy snaps. He just goes crazy. He starts killing people. And it's not because that's his sister. Like that bullshit was brought in the sequel. That was not in the original. That was not in John Carpenter's original vision. It's just a guy that stalks babysitters, stalks people in the neighborhood. That's it. The simple concept at heart. But the tension part, and like when Laurie goes over to the other house and she finds her friends dead, and then Michael attacks her, and you see her running, and she's running, and she's like, let me in. And you see Michael just walking slowly. And then you hear that score playing, like, oh my God, she's about to die. Like, oh my God. And you feel her because you're like, oh my God, like, I don't know how to feel right now. So good. And it's just like that mask is so blank. And that was a William Shatner mask, by the way, Paul.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know.
So that's great. But yeah, just
Hi, Elijah.
I know.
Oh, hi, Buzz. How are you? Why aren't you up for stopping Zurg?
Buzz, that's a hint for a couple weeks now.
Daddy.
No, just kidding. But
Daddy.
what, honey?
Remember my favorite Ghostface?
Yeah. Yes, honey.
Tell her.
Yes. Elijah's favorite killer is Ghostface.
Oh.
He's way too young to be watching that movie.
He doesn't watch him. He's never seen him.
Okay, good.
I have a shirt that has him on it, Mike, and he sees it, so that's why. Anyway. So yeah, just I do love Michael. So, but he is number 2. But okay.
Daddy.
What?
It's the Ghostface is number 1st.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I can't wait to see him. I'm taking him bowling next year. You, me, him. We're going bowling.
Sounds good.
All right. All right.
He has a ghost.
Mike, what is your last question for Caleb?
Well, you mentioned the great dialogue. Do you have a favorite quote? I know what mine is from this movie, and it's a pretty famous one. But what do you have a favorite one?
Oh man. Oh man. The Blackest Eyes is up there. Probably it's I don't know if I can pick. It's one of the two from the end of the movie. So there's was that the Boogeyman from Jamie Lee Curtis? And then the second one from Donald Pleasence. I shot him 6 times. Oh man, so many, man. Oh man. Yeah, probably anything from Donald Pleasance, honestly.
Yeah.
Probably
For me,
I shot him 6 times. So
For me, it's absolutely like I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and
yeah,
7 years trying to keep him locked up because I realized that what was behind those eyes was pure and utter
the
evil.
blackest eyes. Oh my God, bro! Donald Pleasance is a treasure, bro. He was a treasure. Rest in peace. That
My
man
guess
was a
is that's where
treasure.
most of the budget of this movie went to.
Was his so most of it was his salary, Mike, and
Yeah.
then they got a moving camera pod.
Yeah,
That's where like 200,000 of the budget came from, and the rest went to. I think Jamie Lee Curtis got paid like $10,000 or something like that. But
that was like her
the movie
first role.
exploded, Paulie, and then it made $100 million. So you had a $300,000 budget, and it made $100 million. You wonder why there's a franchise here. Hello, you know?
That's just good business, right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. So yeah.
All right. So I actually did have a last question for you in mind, but I think I want to ask this one a little bit more. So I have not seen this movie because you know I'm not a horror person.
It's not for you, bro.
I have seen a lot of behind the scenes, you know, like talk back documentary back about this movie, and one thing that I do recall from watching it was when they were about to film the brief moment that you see, I think it was Lloyd who pulled off Michael Myers' mask, and you see his actual face for the first time. I don't know who said, but whether it was Carpenter herself or someone who said, John wants Michael to have a sort of like angelic face, whatever that means. I guess but what did when I have seen that scene, Michael just kind of looks like a regular person. He doesn't have like this deformity like Jason or Freddy or anything like that. So here's my question for you: what was, however brief it was, what was your reaction when Lloyd pulls the mask off and you see the true face of Michael Myers for the first time?
So that's just the stand-in, Paulie. That's Tony Moran. He is, again, I'm going to use this to rant real quick. He's one of the most pompous douchebag assholes you'll ever meet in your life. He goes around acting like he's Michael Myers. Paul, he was Michael Myers for 5 minutes. Nick Castle is the shape in the original. He did 95%, Paulie. Hold on, baby. I'm talking. The shot, Paulie, where you see Michael walk from the first house to the second house, Paulie, that was Deborah Hill that did that. And the shot with when she pulls his mask off, that was Tony Moran, because I love the guy, but Nick Castle's kind of goofy looking. So that's why they didn't have him do it. Other than those two shots, Paul, those two scenes, right? For grand total, probably, I don't know, 3 minutes, 95% is Nick Castle. The rest is Nick Castle, 100%, right? So this dude, Paulie, is a pompous piece asshole dude who goes around trying to sell his name. If you ask him for autograph, he basically tells you to go F yourself, dude. There's videos out there, Paul. You research him. This dude's a douchebag, dude. I can't stand this dude. If I ever saw him at a convention, man. So
you want to punch him in the face.
He's a dick, man. He's a dick. Like, thankfully, Daniel Harris and Jamie Lynn are sweethearts. I mean, from everything I've heard, John Carpenter's kind of a snail, but he's old. So, but yeah, they wanted the audience to kind of have that shock factor of seeing his face. You know, they were like, well, you see his face. So that's when they brought in Tony Moran for 5 seconds of screen time. 5 seconds. And this dude goes around like he's the king shit of Halloween. Ugh. But anyway, yeah. So it was, I mean, it was shocking, honestly, the first time I saw it. But then, again, I kind of dread that scene every time I watch it. Oh, God, dude, I got to see Tony Moran's face. You know? Because I know he's kind of a dick. I mean, well, not, he's kind of a dick. He is a douchebag. So, I mean, I can't. But yeah, so, I mean, it wears off. And again, if you know the behind the scenes stuff about how this dude is just a giant, like a trash can. Then you know it's like, I don't want to see this dude's face. Like, get out of here. So
yeah, I kind of know.
Like, Paul, there's a video of someone asking for a screamed in his face. He screamed in his face and said, "Get the fuck away from me." And he was at a convention, Paulie. Why would you go to a convention if you're gonna? What?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of videos of Sean Schemmel acting like a bit of a dick. at conventions, but then other times he'll be the coolest guy in the world. So it's like, all right, which one are you? You know.
I've heard that this guy is a dick all the time, like nonstop. He's just a giant douchebag. So, whatever. Anyway, sorry. Yeah. So.
All right. Now you answered my question. All right, well done, Caleb. You're off the hot seat. So I'm back on. You know what my pick is, and Mike, you're up first. What is your first question for me?
Remind me again. What was your pick?
The 1957 12 Angry Men.
Oh, yes. Okay, well, I mean, this is absolutely phenomenal movie. Good pick. Good pick, sir. I mean, I would say which favorite juror. I mean, but everyone pretty much is going to pick Henry Fonda's character. So, which... okay, let's put it this way. Which juror do you kind of identify yourself with more?
Okay.
Oh,
It's a good question, Mike. It's a good question.
yeah. This is gonna come off as kind of crazy, but there's three actually that I sort of saw. The first one is number 2, played by John Fiedler, I think his name was, and that's partly because I've got an emotional connection to it because he was the original voice of Piglet, and I'm a huge Winnie the Pooh fan. But I identify with like his insecurities. Like, well, I can't really say for sure. I just think he's guilty. You know, he's trying to be the nice guy, trying to please everybody. Yeah, I get that. And then there's also Juror 11. You know, I liked he did have a sense of like justice to him because where he came from, he suffered a lot of injustice, so he doesn't like seeing that. He wants justice done. And, you know, I have that sort of mentality. And then finally, number 4, I always had the total rational mind. There was no emotion to it. It was just strict logic and strict fact. That's all you want to talk about. That's how I try to work my brain at all times. It makes things easier for me when I'm just using my brain and keeping emotion out.
I knew you'd be picking number 4.
So yeah, there you go. All right, Caleb, what's your first question?
Oh man, I've only seen this movie once, so great movie by the way. I also like the remake. The remake's okay.
It was
but
decent.
It was decent, but the original
Nothing tops the original.
Obviously is way better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure. Again, I haven't seen this movie in a while, Paul. But give me your favorite line of dialogue and why.
Oh, okay. My favorite dialogue, and it actually has, and it's not just the dialogue, but it's also the reaction it gets. It was in the bathroom. It was between Henry Fonda and juror number 6. And I forget the question, but Henry Fonda asked juror number 6 a question, to which juror number 6 says, you know, I don't do much of a thinking, and I'm just a working man. My boss does thinking, but here's a question for you. Suppose you do talk us all out of this, and the kid really did kill his father. And just that look on Fonda's face with the music. And to this day, I can't tell if he's getting a realization of like, oh, yeah, he's right. I very well could be doing that. Or it's the confirmation like, yeah, I'm well aware I could be doing that. That look, the look on his face, the expression in his eye, the emotion going through him, that hits so heavy because, yeah, he's right. He very well could be trying to talk these guys into letting a guilty man go free. For all we know, the kid really did kill his father. But if the prosecution can't prove it, what choice do you have but to vote not guilty? For better or worse, that is the fundamental truth of our justice system. Innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
Whether you like it or not, it's worked for us for 200 years. And you see Fonda saying, that's the mentality I gotta have. The prosecution could not prove he did it. Therefore, whether or not he did do it is irrelevant. There's not enough evidence to say he did, so I have to let him go. and that's
Right.
his mission. It is just so that one face he had is so gripping and so powerful, and I love it. So for that reason, that's my favorite line of dialogue.
Awesome.
All right, Mike, what's your last question?
All right. Is there a juror? I mean, besides the obviously racist one, is
You
there
mean
a
Jake
juror that
Hobbs?
you just like you can't agree with why they're doing it?
Like I can't. Why is this guy voting guilty? Like what?
Because they all
Yeah.
have reasons for why.
Yeah. In all honesty, I think it's probably number 7. Because you know, listen, I'm voting guilty because I don't want to be here. Okay, I got these tickets that are burning a hole in my pocket. I want to get the hell out of here. I gotta go to Yankee Stadium. Let's get this fucking business over with. Let's go. Guilty. Go on. Let's move. So like, dude, if you're not gonna take this seriously, why the fuck are you even here? Why did you let one of the alternate jurors take your place? So it's like, So yeah, as funny as he could be sometimes, it's like,
my boy.
oh, God.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
And even when he switches the votes, people that are not guilty, like, no, do it for a good reason, not just because you want to get out of here.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't like his motivation one way or the other. Like, I'm guilty or not, I don't care. I want to go. He just does not care. All right. All right, Caleb, what's your last question for me?
All right. Is there anything about this movie that you don't like or that you would change?
Oh man, that is rough as hell.
It's hard to
Honestly, no.
Okay.
I mean, the only thing I maybe would have liked to have seen for just a few more seconds was at the end of the film, you see Henry Fonda and that older gentleman who played juror number 9 kind of introduce themselves for the first time. I would have liked to have seen another minute of them maybe just talking.
Okay.
But other than that, no. There's really nothing about this film that I hated or would have changed.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, they introduced themselves to each other and it's like, oh, well, okay, see ya.
Yeah, like,
okay.
Yeah, I could get maybe like just a couple more. Like, hey, you want to get some beer or something? You know.
Or if you're not going to do anything, just don't have it. Just have it end at them walking out.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's really about it. And it's kind of a minor nitpick. Other than that, no, nothing about this film I hate. Nothing about this film I change. It's pretty close. It's pretty close to perfect. Not as much as my top 2 picks, but it's pretty close to perfect.
Right.
All right, guys. So with that is going to wrap up episode 177. This was a whole lot of fun getting some of our top tier picks. So thank you. So Mike, thank you for being here. This was fun.
Always great to be here.
Mm-hmm. And Caleb, my man, it was a blast having you here, and I enjoy seeing my nephew pop in.
Yeah, man, it's great to be here. And so just to everyone who watches, we'll be back in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Because Mike's going to California to see his fiance, so he will not.
Hey,
sorry, my bad. So he'll be back in 2 weeks. So you'll see at least the 3 of us in 2 weeks, hopefully more. So
yes. So thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you back in 2 weeks for my last episode.
All right.
I think it's actually there, but yep. We'll see you in 2 weeks for that. Until then, everyone, have a good night. Bye-bye.